I am Tim, he's Mike, and we're talking Rolex 2022. I would say that in the absence of bezel world, in the era after the big trade show, the Super Bowl for the watch industry each year is the day Rolex drops its new model year products. Mike, what have we got for 2022?
It's like Christmas morning when you wake up, and I'm sure you were doing the same thing. We're waking up at the crack of dawn, seeing what drops on the Rolex website, and certainly a big drop this year.
Oh my gosh, this new GMT, it's both everything and nothing all at the same time. This new bezel color, and they swapped the crown to the other side. But people are going mad over this.
Well, it's very different for Rolex, but there is history in it. There were left-handed GMTs back at the time. I've never seen this color combination, which is unusual for Rolex to go in a new direction on the color. And I really feel like there's been so much GMT focus over the last 5 years that it's going all things GMT. To see a broad move in the GMT was a surprise.
Well, it's rumored that the CEO of Rolex, when he came over from Zenith, announced that his favorite watch in the collection was the GMT. And with that in mind, it makes a bit more sense. After all, the big man gets the final say. But I will say this. As much as the green bezel is predictable in 2021, 2022, the left-handed crown seems like something Tudor would do, not Rolex.
Yes, it's very outside of the box for Rolex. I'm not sure I love it still, and I certainly don't love the Jubilee bracelet variation, but everybody knows that. I'm the biggest GMT fan. I love GMTs, but this one was definitely outside the box for Rolex. It's going to be a huge success. There's no question about that. I don't think it's going to be something that I'm pining for, though.
I would love to see them do it for one model year or one variation only. Like if this is the only ever left-handed GMT Master II we get, I would be happy if we either see it for 1 year, like the yellow, the coral red, and the turquoise Oyster Perpetual dials, which, by the way, are gone now. Or I would like to see this be the only version they ever do in a left-handed drive, because I think it loses its power if it becomes a regular item.
100% agree. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a sub eventually, but certainly discontinue this, wait a few years, then maybe do that.
And by the way, there's a hot place in hell for whoever coins the funny little nickname, that cute little moniker that they're going to attach, the Green Hornet, the Darth Kermit, the Barbasol bezel. I don't know what they're going to call it. Yeah, but the bottom line is, if that's you, I hope you burn in the inner sanctum.
We haven't had a great name in a while, though. I really, since the Hulk, really, I haven't been in love with any of the names.
Yeah, all of the superheroes with that color scheme are like third string at best. And please, we don't need a Green Lantern. We don't need a Green Hornet. Let's just say no. Just say no, okay? Let this be the black and green bezel, the one we described by its literal description. But let me ask you this too, because green is not just for the GMT this year. We've got a new mint green for the Datejusts. Is this just a bookkeeping change, or does it change the character of the watch?
I thought that was a great move. It is. I have really been getting sick of green everything, without a question about it. But the 41 Datejusts with that green dial, I was never a big fan of the olive green. So I like this green a lot better. I think at that entry-level price point, to have a green piece like that is going to be a home run. And there was a lot of variations of it. There's the plain green, there's the green with the patterns. So many variations. When I was checking this morning, I counted 160 new references. It's an incredibly large drop, and a lot of them were colors and variations on that Datejust.
Yeah, and there's a new Kelly green dial for the Day-Date, and I will say that though they discontinued...
Beautiful piece, the yellow gold Kelly is great.
That's a very good one. They discontinued all but the green, the bright green dial of the Stella Oyster Perpetuals from last year. So the green is still with us. Now I don't think we've ever had so many green dial Rolex options, which I love because I've been waiting for this. This is my moment. Don't steal this from me. So while it may be a little bit played out, this is the only time in my life that I can say green has been an industry-wide preoccupation, though it's not new for Rolex. They've been doing this for a while.
No, green has always been a Rolex color, and a predominant Rolex color, kind of their logo color. So to see them go into that makes a lot of sense, and I think in the models they put it into, I really enjoyed that. I thought that yellow gold green was spectacular, but there's a lot of other variations that they did, and I think the most interesting move to me was the fluted platinum.
This is going to be controversial because we all remember the Porsche 996 when they took the face of the Boxster, which was the entry-level model, and they put it on the 911, which was a disaster. Is this a mistake? Because traditionally, fluted has always meant gold. White rose or yellow at Rolex.
Correct. And I'm still on the fence on this one. I understand a lot of people like fluted bezels. I think I prefer the plain, smooth bezel. The thing that bothers me even more, though, is they took the fluted bezel and then they took a lot of the dials that are traditional white gold. So the platinum now comes with the blue dial, comes with the olive green, with the fluted bezel, and it really just looks exactly like the white gold. The attraction of the platinum was always the light blue dial, that glacier blue, was always only a platinum variant. Once you saw that across the room, you knew it was platinum. Now the platinum is getting muddled to me.
And that is the endless problem that Rolex has, managing expectations between very expensive watches and the people who commit to them, and the inevitability that they will launch a similar steel watch or white gold watch down the line. We now have white gold and platinum day-dates that look similar. Prior to that, we went from having a white gold and platinum Yacht-Master II to having a steel watch. We went from having a white gold Sky Dweller to having a steel watch that looked just like it. We went from having a white gold GMT Master II Pepsi to having a steel watch that looked just like it. That is one of the challenges Rolex faces.
Well, one of the things that they typically do to prevent that is they usually introduce the newest and coolest in the very high price point. But now what they've done is they've taken kind of the lower price points and put them into a platinum piece, into a higher price point. So it seems a little reverse to me. Not sure about that. I also, in the 36s specifically, the 36 size has become predominantly a ladies' watch over the last 5 or 10 years. The day-date's super popular, stone dials, great. I don't know how many women are going to prefer the platinum just because it's very heavy.
I will say this, if you want a standout platinum Rolex this year, there is a rainbow platinum 36mm day-date. That is new this year. That is the day-date to buy in 2022.
I love the new meteorite too on the day-date. It does look pretty hot. But the other one I loved, which I thought of this morning, was the new Onyx baguette in the yellow gold.
Yes.
I mean, a beautiful dial, and with a little, traditionally the Onyxes were very flat. This one looks like it has a little texture to it, which I found interesting. They kind of changed that up a little.
What's interesting to me is that this year, that's very similar to the Falcon's Eye that's now available on.
42.
Let's talk about the Yacht-Master. Let's talk about the Yacht-Master. Falcon's Eye dial with great chatoyancy and blue tones on the 42mm Oyster Flex white gold Yacht-Master, and we get an all-new yellow gold 42.
Yeah, I love the yellow gold 42. I love yellow gold. We've gotten away from the yellow gold over the last few years, so I thought that was a great introduction. I was kind of surprised they kept the 40 rose. I thought that might go away when they introduced a new color, but that's still in the collection. But the Falcon Eye is gorgeous. It just seems a little odd on a sport watch with a strap.
Well, but then again,
and a stone dial.
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a GMT Meteorite, of course.
Yeah, it's still a crazy dial on a sports watch.
Crazy dial on a sports watch, yes. I love this thing. It's been my Grail watch for years, and I finally got it, so I'm very happy with it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Important to mention, though, there are a lot of other changes, some of which don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Why did we need a crown guard on the Air King?
The same reason I guess we needed the 0 on the dial. There was something about the case. I do like the crown guard. I don't know that it made a big difference. Obviously, the upgraded movement was important, and I did expect the new Air King because I expected that whole movement to go away. But they left the Milgauss, which is shocking to me because it's the last piece now with the old movement.
Yeah, amortizing the tooling, I guess, for one more year, because internally and dimensionally, the Milgauss and the 116-900 were exactly the same watch. So now the Air King, if you're charting the changes, we have loomed Arabic numerals on the dial, we have crown guards on the profile, and we have the new 70-hour movement. Not a whole lot more has changed. It's become a reference 126-900. My theory here is that that was one of the slow sellers among the sports watches, and Rolex was thinking, what do we need to give it a Rolex look that will make people select this after mostly ignoring it in the past? And they said, well, we can do one of two things. Give it a rotating bezel, which is off the table because that's reserved for certain higher-end sports watches, or two, give it crown guards. And I think they decided crown guards would make it look like a Rolex and bring in people who would not have considered the prior model.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the entry-level sports watch. I think it was a good tweak, but again, a minor tweak. And for a lot of people, it's going to go relatively unnoticed.
The strangest change. I can see why they would have made the Air King look more like a typical Rolex sports watch. What I don't understand is the new reference and the changes to the Deepsea.
Once again, and I love the Deepsea. I have an original 11666. The 12 was an improvement with the bracelet balance and the overall balance of the watch. But I don't really see what the need or the advantage of this change is. From what I understand, it's just the bezel, a little edge on the crystal, and a step back on the bracelet, in my opinion.
Yeah, the bracelet, which has long included both a flip-lock fold-out extension and then a sliding incremental extension, it now lacks the flip-lock. So they removed one of the coolest features from what was Rolex's coolest clasp. But there are other changes. There's a thinner bezel, there's a new chamfered crystal, slight changes to the luminescence, the watch has a new reference, oh, and the date window is 8% larger. Not 7, not 9, 8, because we know you were all asking for that. 8.
It was hard to read the date, so I will appreciate that, but I don't think I'll be upgrading to that one.
By the way, according to psychologists, the human threshold for recognition is a 10% change. Rolex, did you read your text? Did you study for the test? Someone failed pop psychology. So do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to probably go with either the Falcon Eye, because I love stone dials in general, obviously, or that new green on the yellow gold Day-Date. I think is going to be spectacular.
Yeah, that is a really good look. I would say that the platinum rainbow sapphire Day-Date 36 is probably my choice. I do like the new GMT, but I don't like it so much that I'm going to run with the pack on that one. It's going to be a $500 premium over the standard GMT. I don't necessarily see it as being justified. I think realistically, the thing I liked most was that wonderfully colorful, traditionally sized Day-Date. And maybe we should also mention, outbound from this discussion of new Rolex watches, that prices increased.
Yep, we did see a small price increase again, which I am happy with, because again, it would be nice to get a spread that's less on the secondary market to the normal retail price. The other thing to keep in mind is there are certain things that are off website that have been introduced.
Yes.
There's a number of stone pieces. There is a reintroduction of the yellow gold and white gold rainbow, which I found out just a couple hours ago. That's very interesting because it's a very unusual thing for Rolex to do, to bring back a watch that was discontinued.
Those originally came out in 2012. And what I found interesting too is that there's a lot of, like you said, stuff that's off the website. There's this 126679 white gold 40 millimeter Yacht-Master with diamonds and sapphires. And I hope we can get a picture of this because it's absolutely bonkers.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And they did this the last couple of years with these very specialized high jewelry pieces. And they are really beautiful and very unique and really only last for a year or two. I think it's a great move for them.
And these watches are almost always off the books. They've done it with the Sub, the GMT, the Daytona. They're the last truly handcrafted Rolex watches. So what interests me most going forward is going to be how many of those start showing up as people post photos to the internet, journalists get their hands on them. We've still got some Rolex releases that you haven't seen. If you're watching this today, on March 30th, we will start seeing those jewelry pieces roll out very quietly in social media over the next couple of days.
Now, this is the most fun time of the year. Rolex obviously sets the bar with the introduction, and it was a huge one. So I'm still going to spend time this afternoon going back and studying some more and looking them over because there's so many variations. I'm sure there's a few I missed.
And now if you want to talk about the canonical big three Rolex watches, okay, here's your pricing now. The Submariner is now a $10,100 watch, so it's now into the $10,000 price class. The Sub No Date went from $8,550 to $8,950. Your basic Daytona went from, I believe, $13,150. Now it's $14,550. And the GMT, if you want to buy it standard, is going to be $10,550. Add $500 if you want to get the new green bezel with the lefty drive. Did I miss anything?
I think you hit all the big ones.
All right, and that is our impromptu special installment of Around the Crown.